We were in the midst of a crucial battle to conquer the Promised Land, and our enemies were trying to escape as night was approaching. At that moment, I prayed to the heavens with all my faith, and God stopped the sun in the sky to help us win the war and completely destroy the rival army. Hello, I'm Joshua, and after the death of Moses, I took on the great responsibility of leading the people of Israel toward the land of Canaan. We miraculously crossed the Jordan River and brought down the mighty walls of Jericho with just shouts and trumpets. In every battle we won, faith and obedience were our most powerful weapons. Despite the many challenges, I always trusted in this promise from God: be strong and courageous, for I will be with you. I invite you to stay until the end to hear the full story of my life and learn valuable lessons for your spiritual growth. I am Joshua, son of Nun, from the tribe of Ephraim. My story begins during a time of uncertainty and oppression for our people, who were suffering under slavery in Egypt. It was in this context that Moses, our great leader, chose me and 11 others for a mission that would test our courage and faith, to explore the promised land of Canaan. We set out secretly, crossing deserts and mountains until we reached a land of unimaginable abundance. Canaan was full of fortified cities and strong inhabitants like giants, which filled many of our companions' hearts with fear. However, as we traversed those valleys and mountains, something within me grew stronger. Despite the giants, I saw the fertility of the land and the possibility of a new beginning for our people. When we returned, 10 of our companions began to tell terrifying stories, convincing the people with visions of disaster. But Caleb and I, with a different conviction, spoke of the possibilities and victories we could achieve if we trusted in God. The land we explored is a very beautiful land, I said. If God is with us, He will lead us to this place and give it to us. This episode not only marked the beginning of my journey as a leader, but was also a turning point for Israel, divided between fear and faith. At that moment, the people chose fear, a decision that cost us 40 years of wandering in the desert. Reflecting on this experience, I understand how important it is the way we see challenges. Throughout our lives, we face many giants, and often, like the spies who were filled with fear, we may be tempted to see only the obstacles instead of the opportunities. I invite you to think about how you face the giants in your life. Do you approach your challenges with fear, seeing only the problems, or with confidence, focusing on the possibilities? The way you choose to view your situation can not only determine your experience, but also the outcome of your efforts. As I learned at that moment, even when challenges seem insurmountable, strong faith and a brave heart can pave the way to unexpected victories. At the waters of Meribah, where our people faced the legacy of their long pilgrimage, my life changed in a way I never imagined. Moses, whom I had served faithfully since my youth, called me and all of Israel for an act of great importance. There, under the desert sky and before the eyes of our people, Moses laid his hands on me. At that moment, I felt the weight of responsibility fall upon my shoulders. This was not just a change in leadership, it was a moment of profound spiritual confirmation. Moses, the man who had defied the pharaohs and parted the sea, was passing the torch to me, a humble servant. "Be strong and courageous," were his words, an echo of the divine command that resonated in my heart in the face of the challenges that would come. God also spoke to me, assuring me that just as He had been with Moses, He would be with me. He encouraged me to be strong and not to be afraid, for He would never leave me nor forsake me. With these promises, the fear I felt at first turned into firm determination. This succession took place before the entire congregation, ensuring a clear and accepted transition among the people. In an era where leadership was guided by divine revelation and prophecy, it required conviction and faith beyond the ordinary. I not only had to fight physical battles but also spiritual ones, always keeping my covenant with God before every decision. After the ceremony, my first act as leader was to invite the people to prepare to cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Although the task seemed overwhelming, God's constant presence and Moses' words gave me the strength to move forward. Reflecting on this crucial moment, I invite you to think about the changes in your life. How do you face great challenges, especially those that seem beyond your abilities? Do you seek guidance and strength in your faith, as I did, or do you tend to rely solely on your own strength? In my experience, the greatest battles are won when we understand that our true strength comes from something much greater than ourselves. Let this story inspire you to face changes with courage, guided by wisdom that goes beyond human understanding. My first great challenge as the leader of Israel was to face the mighty walls of Jericho. This city was not only a physical fortress, but also a symbol of resistance against God's will to give us the promised land. As a new leader, my task was not only military but also deeply spiritual. I had to lead the people not only to victory but also to a demonstration of faith. I remember very well the night before we began to surround Jericho. The strategy God gave me was unusual. We were to march around the city once a day for 6 days, and on the 7th day, we would march around it 7 times. We wouldn't use conventional weapons. Instead, the priests would blow trumpets made of ram's horns, and at the end, the people would shout. The promise was that the walls would fall by themselves. No doubt many found this plan puzzling. It was a test not only of our obedience but also of our faith that God could do the impossible. During those days, as we walked in silence with only the sound of the trumpets, I felt both the tension of anticipation and the weight of responsibility. Seeing those enormous walls day after day and believing they would fall without a physical attack was an act of pure faith. On the 7th day, when it finally came, it was filled with intensity and expectation. At the end of the 7th round, when the trumpets sounded and the people shouted, the ground shook beneath our feet, and the walls of Jericho collapsed. The miracle was total and evident. God fulfilled his promise. This event was a turning point for all of us. Not only did we win an important battle, but it also strengthened the faith in the heart of every Israelite. Jericho did not fall by our power, but by the hand of God acting through our obedience. As you reflect on this victory, I invite you to think about how faith and obedience manifest in your life. Are you willing to follow paths that sometimes seem illogical or ineffective in the eyes of the world? Do you believe there is a greater plan? The conquest of Jericho teaches us that when God directs our battles, even the most imposing walls can be brought down. This chapter of my life encourages you to look beyond your own strength and believe that with faith, even the walls you face can fall. After the victory at Jericho, our confidence as a people grew, but we knew we still faced great challenges in conquering Canaan. The following story is one of the most remarkable of my life and one of the most astonishing miracles documented in our chronicles. We were in the midst of a battle against the Amorites, a coalition of local kings who feared the growing power of Israel. The battle was being fought in Gibeon, a strategic place, and had been ongoing since morning. Seeing that night was approaching, I realized that darkness would allow our enemies to escape or regroup. With divine urgency and the need for more time to secure victory, I called upon the Lord before all Israel. Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon. This moment was decisive not only for the boldness of the request, but for the faith it demonstrated in God's power. Incredibly, the sun stopped, and the moon stood still, extending the day until we achieved total victory. This unique event in history irrefutably proved that the God of Israel intervenes directly in the affairs of his people. This miracle not only impacted those who witnessed the events or heard about them, it also left an indelible mark on the heart and spirituality of our community. In a time when politics were based on alliances and conquests, it became clear that our God was not a passive deity but an active force present in our struggles. Moreover, this miracle reinforced our faith in the divine promise. If God could stop the sun, what could he not do for his people? This certainty united us more than ever, strengthening our commitment to follow God's guidance even when obstacles seemed insurmountable. Reflecting on this episode of my life, I invite you to think about those moments when you needed more time, more resources, or more faith to face your challenges. Have you ever thought that sometimes the impossible can become possible with the right intervention? Just as the sun stopped to give us more light, sometimes unexpected solutions arise in our lives when we need them the most. I hope this story inspires you to seek the divine intervention in your life and believe that with faith, there is no day or battle you cannot overcome. At the end of my journey, lying on the land we so longed for and fought so hard for, I reflect on the path we have traveled and the lessons we have learned. My life, intertwined with struggles and miracles, culminates here, not just with the conquest of a territory but with the consolidation of a people. After years of struggle, we distributed the promised land among the tribes of Israel, and each received their portion, just as God had promised. This act of distribution was not only administrative, it was deeply symbolic, marking the end of our old identity as wandering slaves and the beginning of our new life as an established nation, rooted in the land God gave us. In these final moments of my leadership, I called all the tribes to Shechem, a place rich in spiritual history, to renew our covenant with God. It was crucial to remind everyone, as well as myself, that the land was a gift that came with great responsibility. I asked every man, woman, and child to choose whom they would serve. I reminded them that although the gods of the neighboring peoples might lure them with promises of wealth and power, only God had proven his faithfulness and power from Egypt to Canaan. Choose this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, I said to them. This was a decisive moment not only for that time but also as a call that would resonate through generations. A call to loyalty and commitment. Looking back, I see how every battle, every decision was not based solely on strategy or strength but on faith. My leadership was not founded on human ability but on following divine direction, listening and obeying, even when the path seemed uncertain. As you reflect on your own life, I invite you to think about your own struggles and victories. Are they driven by superficial principles or lasting convictions? Are you building a legacy of integrity and trust? Just as I called Israel to choose, you make decisions every day that define who you are and who you will become. Let my story inspire you to always seek that higher direction, live with a purpose guided by high values, and leave a legacy that transcends your own life. After all, our lives are measured not only by the lands we conquer, but by the hearts we touch and the principles we stand for. My name is Joshua, and this is my story. Today, at the end of my days, as I watch the sun set over the hills of the Promised Land, I reflect on the lessons learned and the challenges overcome, sharing with you the truths that have guided my journey. As you apply these lessons to your life, I encourage you to always seek God's guidance in your decisions, face your challenges with courage, and be aware of the legacy you are building. Remember, it is not just about reaching your Promised Land, but about how you impact those who accompany you on the journey. My story is just one of the many found in the Scriptures, but I hope that the lessons it contains will resonate with you and guide you in your quest for a full and meaningful life. May you find the strength to be courageous, the wisdom to obey, and the vision to lead with integrity. May your path be blessed and guided by the light that never fades. Now I invite you to click on the recommended video to discover the incredible story of Rahab, the woman of Jericho whose courage and faith changed her destiny. Join me as I uncover how her decision to hide the Israelite spies and her knowledge of the God of Israel led her from being a marginalized prostitute to becoming part of the genealogy of Jesus. Don't miss this inspiring story of redemption and transformation.